South African welcome Ncita. And of course, as you just saw, his lone loss came at the hands of Kennedy McKinney. So coming up later on ABC's Wide World of Sports, once his, as he used to hold that title. The tale of the tape, remarkably similar. The only noteworthy thing here, McKinney's people think that Ncita had to struggle to make the weight at 122. The IBF rules, a 10-point must system, is in effect a standing 8 and a 3 knockdown rule. Both are not. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round, and only the referee can stop the fight. The 3 scoring judges you just saw, and our referee is Rafael Ramos. So we are ready to go. 12 rounds for the IBF Junior Featherweight title from South Padre Island, Texas. McKinney in the red trunks, welcome Ncita. Don't be fooled by the spelling. It's N-C-I-T-A, but it is pronounced Ncita.
Yeah, I went through. Yeah. When he announced his fight, I said, well, now I'll find out whether it's Nikita or Ncita, and it turns out it's neither.
We're just setting ourselves up in case we make a mistake later. Big, wild left hand by Ncita. Misses badly.
Interesting thing about the first fight was Nita's best punch is that left hook you just saw a miss there, but Kennedy McKinney is most vulnerable to right hands. If he has one flaw, it's the fact that he eats right hands.
McKinney acknowledges that he has been a slow starter in the past. He says we've been working on it. That's easier to talk about than actually do, isn't it, Alex?
Yeah, I think Kennedy likes to really feel his man out. I don't think he comes out that he's cold. You know, he warms up in the dressing room, but I just think he likes to get this feel for his man before he really opens up and takes chances. Good head movement there. Good movement by Ncita in the black trunks on the left of your screen. He clearly has the edge in speed of both hand and feet. Kennedy McKinney said that. He said, what shocked me in the first fight was how much quicker this man was than I was. Kennedy has superior power, and in the first fight, it was the power that made the difference.
And following up on that question, when we talked to McKinney and Ncita yesterday, we said to Kennedy, well, how are you going to combat that quickness this time around? What's your strategy? And his reaction was, well, he's not as quick as he used to be, attributing it to that right hand that he gave him in December of '92. We'll see. Nobody has yet landed a real meaningful punch yet, over halfway through the first round. One of the things that we'll be tracking during this fight is Ncita's, has he developed a newfound respect for the right hand of Kennedy McKinney, and will he be afraid to fight in close?
Well, I'll tell you, so far he is staying at much more distance than he did in the first fight.
The first fight he would dart in and dart out, lower that left shoulder and come in and deliver almost guerrilla warfare and delivering a couple and leaving.
That's it right there. That was going up and challenging the man, which he was very successful at, and that's how he ran up the lead he had in the first fight before he got stopped. You see those those punches there that are falling short because he just is not willing to get in and commit to the range. There he is in closer.
With a fighter like McKinney, who's a self-avowed slow starter, is Ncita not playing into his hands? Should he maybe not be trying to press the action a little bit against a guy who doesn't get out of the gate quickly?
I just think, Dan, you have to attribute that to the effect of the first fight. I just don't think he's going to walk in and put himself in danger against a guy who just drilled him 16 months ago.
Well, there is no mistaking the signal here at ringside when they're telling you there's 10 seconds. Here's the end of the first. At the start of the second round, and Dan Deerdorf and Alex Wallow at ringside. And Alex, when and if this fight goes to the judges, to me, there's a toss-up round. That could go to either fighter.
It was interesting at the start of the second round, Dan. You could see the effects of the first fight because both men waited until after the bell had rung to get off the stools. They are clearly prepared for a grueling fight and try to conserve every bit of energy they can.
Again, Kennedy McKinney, the gold medalist from Seoul in the red trunks. Welcome Ncita, the former IBF title holder before he lost to McKinney, wearing the black.
And the only loss of Nita's career. He is a world-class fighter. He's a seasoned 10-year pro.
He made 6 title defenses before he lost it to McKinney. This is McKinney's 5th title defense since he took it from Ncita. So between the two of them, they've been hanging on to this IBF title for a long time.
Now the first minute of round 2, Ncita really the only one who got in with any clean punches, scoring punches. You see the respectful distance. You see the punches falling short.
Well, it's a beautiful jab by Kennedy McKinney.
He's just not as in range yet. Has not been in range yet.
He said that yesterday when we talked to him that the jab really is what he thinks could help him neutralize some of the quickness that Ncita has, that advantage that he has. That was good head movement by McKinney as he dodged the big right. But it is a world-class jab by McKinney.
Yeah, some people think he has one of the best jabs in the sport, and he doesn't use it really he uses it to score points, but he also has a second purpose, Stan, and that is to set up that right hand. All his power is in that straight right hand. He's not a left hooker particularly. He uses the left to measure, to set the man up, and come across with that right hand.
There for one of the first times in this round, Ncita came in, a good sweeping left hand, just flicked the jaw of McKinney, but again, very cautious beginning to this fight.
There were more than 5 minutes into the fight and very few meaningful punches. Belly jabs there by Ncita, 2 of them, and then he came up top with the left and scored. And again, McKinney short with the jab.
That is the way that Ncita has fought most of his career, getting in and getting out. And of course, it's a smart way to fight if you're that quick. That was a good digging left hand by Kennedy McKinney to the ribs of Ncita.
We should point out, Dan, that when you look at the face of Kennedy McKinney, the champion, with his back to you, now on the left of the screen, you'll see that he's always a little bit puffy and bruised under his eyes. That isn't the result of the blows. That's the way Kennedy walks around on the street. He just has had some, there's a scar under his left eye as a result of a childhood barbed wire accident. But he just always looks puffy there, so that he came in looking that way.
Here we come to the end of the second round, scheduled for a dozen. The beginning of round number 3 from South Padre Island in deep in the heart of Texas, about as deep in Texas as you can go. Very close to the Mexican border. And Alex, here's a look at what you're talking about with Kennedy McKinney's eye.
Yeah, you see the discoloration on the left, under the left eye, and
it looks swollen.
And it can swell up in the fight. It can get worse. He's had a couple of fights where it was a problem. So far, there haven't been enough punches landed on either man to create any kind of physical problems.
Something will trigger it. One hopes that something will trigger it. Somebody will get angry. Somebody will step on somebody's foot. Who knows? Well, there is Welcome Ncita kind of bobbing and going low, a partial slip.
And the referee did a good job.
Ramos wipes off the gloves.
The gloves touch the floor and should get them wiped up. A lot of times there's rosin from the rosin box that they use to get traction on their shoes, and that can get in the glove and really do damage, not to you, but to your opponent.
A good jab there by McKinney. Oh, there's a nice combination by Ncita. And Welcome Ncita presses the attack a little bit. Again, he loses his footing coming back out. That just caught the glove by Ncita.
It did, but you're right, Dan, it did. It was not a good scoring punch. But it's interesting that Welcome, the challenger in the black trunks facing you here, is initiating the action. He's getting off first, and Kennedy has come out pretty flat. And as you said at the top, this is his pattern. He is a slow starter.
And he is living up to his advanced billing.
Most of the time, Kennedy, who's facing you now on the right of your screen in the red trunks, does a good job of holding his right glove up to block left hands, to block left hooks, which is Ncita's best punch. We said earlier, he is most vulnerable to right hands.
It is an entirely different Kennedy McKinney that lives his life now, and the piece you saw before the fight, we documented how he'd had various troubles with rehab in 3 different times, and interestingly enough, the last go-around, he needed $10,500 to pay for it. He didn't have the money, and people like Andrew Maynard and Ray Mercer, Donald Curry, Riddick Bowe, Michael Carbajal, Todd Foster, Akbar Muhammad, all his friends came to his aid and came up with the money, and Kennedy McKinney says quite flatly, they saved my life.
Great story.
Coming to the close of the third round, and some good action there by Ncita. He lands a couple scoring punches. The best we've seen from Welcome. Well, we had the best flurry of the fight so far at the end of the third round there. Welcome Ncita may have stolen the round on the judges' scorecards.
Well, I think he earned it.
Yep.
I think he's won the last 2 rounds. just because Kennedy just hasn't really gotten anything going at all.
But there's nothing with that late flurry. There's nothing wrong with that late flurry in the last 10 seconds to cement your position.
This is the pattern of the first fight when Ncita went up quite a bit early in the fight, won most of the early round.
Ncita's had a couple of problems in retreating from getting in close, stumbling over his own feet.
Yeah, and if he lunges in like he did just there, if he continues to do that, he's going to get caught with that McKinney right counter.
There was a good look at a lunging left hand, and when that hand swings low, he's wide open to that overhand right of McKinney's.
I think one of the questions we had at the top has been answered, Dan, and that is that Welcome Ncita has put himself back together again pretty well mentally. I think he's for the most part, he's been aggressive enough. They're a low blow, and he acknowledges it. They touch gloves. Welcome really is a gentleman. I mean, it's an overused term, but he really is a smart, articulate, terrific kid.
They're both very engaging young men to sit and talk to.
Good jab there by McKinney, backing Welcome up on the ropes, and then you saw the challenger come off the ropes and get out of danger.
We want to alert our ABC stations that we'll be taking a station break at the conclusion of this round, and also want to remind you that our boxing continues here on ABC's Wide World of Sports. On June 4th, we'll have James Toney, the IBF Super Middleweight Champion, defending his title. That's on Saturday the 4th of June here on Wide World of Sports. And one of the best fighters in the world is Mr. Toney.
Indeed he is.
Long range work here. Oh, there's a good inside combination by McKinney.
And Welcome Ncita comes right back out to him.
He sure does. Those were heavy punches by McKinney, but Ncita didn't back out. He stayed in and decided to let's play a little. Another low blow by Ncita. Oh, good solid punch by Kennedy McKinney. An uppercut got through.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. For Welcome Ncita, it's great for us to see an action fight, but I'll tell you something. This is just suicidal for Welcome because he is not going to win a toe-to-toe exchanges of power with Kennedy McKinney. Kennedy McKinney has as much power. You saw the heads clash there. There was no Kennedy looked at the referee trying to indicate with the butt. It was just a clash of heads. There was no butt involved.
It is the heavy punches here belong to Kennedy McKinney. We'll be back with more Beck's Professional Boxing after this word from our ABC out, but he was telling McKinney not to exchange punches with Ncita. I'm not so sure that exchange doesn't favor McKinney in a big way. Although keep in mind, in that fight they had in '92, Ncita hurt McKinney in the 11th round. It was McKinney that was forced to take a knee to regroup before he came out to win with the knockout.
A couple of things, Dan. First of all, I think there's some swelling in the left eye of the challenger, Welcome Ncita. As he comes around here facing the camera, look at the left eye there. And see, I mean, he's got very high and pronounced cheekbones. But I think he's got some swelling. Secondly, there was a body punch by Kennedy McKinney in round 4 that I think had a tremendous effect and will have a continuing effect if he can continue to land them on the movement of Welcome Ncita.
Both fighters, though, more willing to get inside and exchange heavier punches. Ooh, a wild left hand by Ncita. You can't afford very many of those. Let's look how in control McKinney is.
But the interesting thing is when he missed, he continued to punch. He didn't get discouraged by the miss, Dan. He continued to throw a couple of jabs and landed a couple.
Well, Kennedy McKinney, would you not agree, a fighter who's fighting this fight so far well within himself, in control, not taking any big chances?
He's a very poised, very mature fighter. Forget all the craziness that went on in his life outside the ring. In the ring, and actually in the gym, even when he was smoking crack and going through all the craziness he went through in 1989 and after, he really was dedicated in the gym. He was a kid who just has shown so much and has improved so much, actually, I think, Dan, since he won the title, and that's a key to this fight. How much has Kennedy McKinney improved himself in his 4 title defenses?
The crowd was reacting to a right hand of McKinney's that hit on the back of the head of Ncita and really was not a serious punch. Boy, look at that flicking jab. The second one connected nicely. Again, McKinney scores with that jab.
Good chopping right hand by Ncita had a little bit of effect. He tried
there's another one.
You know, Dan, it's one of those interesting cases where Nita's best punch is a left hook, but McKinney's weakness is a right hand. And Welcome, instead of trying those left hooks that he's been missing, to try to load up some of those overhand rights because Kennedy just happens to eat those things. There he tried to, he almost let
And look at McKinney laugh.
McKinney laughed. He wound up to throw one, didn't let it go.
Kennedy McKinney pressing the action a little more. Oh, the good right hand by Welcome Ncita. He drops Kennedy McKinney. That right hand right on the jaw. A short, compact right clipped him right on the jaw.
Timeout by the referee. He's putting the man back as the mouthpiece came out. He's going to wash the mouthpiece. And what a break this is for Kennedy McKinney. I'm not saying he's really hurt and stunned, but he gets more time to clear his head. Now time is back in.
Rafael Ramos doing what he had to do, putting back the mouthpiece. I think that's a valid point, Alex. Gave McKinney some extra time. And there is the end of the 5th round. We're going to stay here. A short clipping right hand right on the chin of McKinney. Reminiscent of the punch that he delivered to Ncita in '92.
Yeah, that punch was a short, compact punch. This is more looping, but it had its effect. We talked early in that round that he was open for the punch. He's been open to it throughout his career.
He's going to get curled. He's going to get curled. So now,
and he's going to have to, at some point in his career, find a way to not get hit with right hands. There, Ncita coming in. Kennedy tried a punch, and then boom, a left, and then a right behind it. Out came the mouthpiece, and Kennedy sat down. Let's take a look from one more angle, Dan. Boom, there it was. And Ncita went back to the corner, rejoiced a little bit. Kennedy came out and said he was fine. There's Kennedy Jr., and you can tell that he is not pleased about this turn of events.
Very difficult for a 4-year-old to sit at ringside and watch his father. Here comes Ncita right out of his corner with a big overhand right that misses. The 5th round. Maybe scored a 10-8 round for Ncita by the judges because of the knockdown.
I think it was,
that puts him in a pretty good command here through 5 rounds.
Especially a round that he may have been losing. I mean, it's like a 3-point swing with one punch. It looked at the end of round 4 that Kennedy McKinney might have really established control of the fight. A body punch that I thought had an effect. But Welcome Ncita, the former champion, now the challenger on the left, stood his ground, and let's say it again, Dan. This is a man who, after a devastating knockout, has shown that he's one of the rare human beings in this sport who can overcome the mental scars of that kind of a knockout and come back in and give his best.
And not only give his best, but put the champion down. Talk about a soaring confidence level. Welcome Ncita has to be in that position right now.
But Welcome Ncita and we should all remember that Kennedy McKinney in round 10 of the first fight was hurt at the end of the round. He was hurt in the beginning of the 11th and came back to score with a short, compact right hand, a one-punch knockout. Do not count him out.
I think that's why this is a pick-em fight, and still is. This fight is scheduled for 12 rounds.
And the eye is closing. That left eye on Ncita is closing, and that's going to be a problem because, as we've mentioned a number of times, McKinney's power is in the right hand, and I don't think Ncita has full vision seeing that right hand coming right now.
You can see that it's swelling from above. It's the eyelid coming down from the eyebrow, and that can fill in a hurry. There's a right hand counter by McKinney. There's a good look. And it is noticeably swelling. You're right, Alex. Inside the final minute of the 6th round.
And again, the right hand that time it missed by Ncita. Kennedy McKinney is a resourceful, talented fighter and a champion. He blocked that punch. That landed on the glove that he holds up well. Heads clashed again. One interesting thing, Dan, to watch will be Welcome Ncita in the 16 months since he lost his title has only fought twice, a total of 5 rounds. Whether he is as sharp as a Kennedy McKinney, who has defended his title 3-4 times since then, he would figure not to be in the same fighting trim.
He said he wanted to fight more, he just couldn't get any attractive fights. Well, at the end of this round, we'll be halfway through.
Here's the
They meet in the middle for the start of the 7th round. Kenny Adams telling McKinney between rounds, get in, but don't come back out. He's got nothing left. Press the attack. They applied N-swell to the eye of Welcome Ncita in between rounds, and that's a great, it's swelling from both the bottom and the top. And of all, if you had to lose vision in either eye, the one that affects the big right hand of Kennedy McKinney, the most disastrous.
It's impossible to tell how much vision Welcome has out of that eye. He is holding the left up very high.
Oh, good double jab there by Ncita.
Kennedy looks to be completely back, Dan, in terms of after effects from the knockdown. I mean, he was totally alert on the stool, talking to Kenny Adams in his corner between rounds. The worst after effect is the 2-point round.
There's Kennedy McKinney Jr. again. A little bit more of a confident look on his face.
Yeah, I think he scored round 6 for his dad, so he's a little bit... Kennedy McKinney, named after John F. Kennedy by his mother when he was born in Mississippi. And named his son also.
A couple of experienced world-class fighters in the middle of the ring.
And evenly matched.
Yep. It's a quality matchup, these two.
You see Kennedy there moving his head, bobbing, weaving. I think he's turned the pressure up just a notch here, Dan. I think despite the knockdown, and despite those 2 jabs there by Welcome that landed.
Oh, there's a good combination by Ncita. But the eye, again, keep track of the left eye of Welcome Ncita. It continues to swell. Alex, at some point in time, that's going to have to start to affect his strategy. Will he become more aggressive in thinking that I may not be able to make the distance with his eye?
Well,
or does he get cautious and try to tough it out?
You phrased it, and I don't have the answer. We'll just wait and see it. It just depends upon how much vision he has out of that slit. He could also be afraid, Dan, that the referee might think about stopping it if that eye closes much more. Again, the left missing badly by Ncita. Kennedy was not able to make him pay for the miss. You would think, oh,
and another wild right hand by Ncita.
And a good jab by Kennedy.
Who looks like he's taking some chances here. We're coming up to the end of the 7th round. A low blow. Kennedy complains. Let's get the 8th round started, and not much strategy talked about in Ncita's corner. Their attention was focused on his left eye and trying to keep it from closing entirely. You can put the N-swell on it, which does a nice job, but when one is ballooning like Ncita's, you have to wonder if he's got another 4 rounds in him. 5 rounds, actually, to finish it out. If it's going to remain open, where he's going to be able to see what's coming.
And not just see what's coming, but be able to land punches of his own. I mean, it's, he's not in a survival mode. He's trying to force the action, score points, and win rounds, and maybe even land another one of those right hands. But there, the McKinney right hand got in, and Kennedy at times like this just looks like he's stalking his man. Good left there by Welcome Ncita. I must say that Welcome Ncita here, who idolizes Ray Leonard, looks very much like Ray Leonard, the same eye closing against Thomas Hearns in the first fight. Very, very similar. The hair is short. Some of the movements are the same. And he doesn't have Angelo in his corner to say when he comes back, you're blowing it, son, you're blowing it.
There's that wild left hand again of Ncita. He's gotten away with it. Hasn't really been penalized harshly for swinging that wild punch. You wonder if you can do that an entire fight against a guy like McKinney and get away with it. There was a good right hand counter by McKinney. But look at the jab. Look at the jab of McKinney, how effectively he's just keeping Ncita out. A couple overhand rights.
And Welcome just missing that left hook. Wildly missing it.
Well, it's like that jab of McKinney's has radar as he tries to just keep him at bay and catch that eye. Well, there was a left-right by McKinney. The right scored. Still, it's for a man with a bad eye. Kennedy McKinney is being very cautious in his approach to welcome Ncita. He's got him back into the corner.
For the first time.
Yep. Good work to the body.
And Welcome's legs are not there to carry him to safety. Instead, he's trying to trade. Good right hand.
Got a right hand in by Ncita. Got over the left of McKinney.
You just think that when Welcome lands the right, so much easier than that left he just missed. You just have to wonder why he just doesn't let it go more.
There he swung the left and got hit by McKinney. Under 20 seconds here in the 8th round.
And again, Welcome laying there. He cannot do that.
He fights his way off. He lands a couple of right hands. You have to admire Welcome Ncita. Turning in a courageous effort here. The end of the 8th. Go at the start of the 9th round. The doctor in the corner looking at Welcome Ncita between rounds said, I'm going to give you one more round and we'll see what happens. He was really working with him, trying to get him in there.
And he held up fingers to see if Welcome could identify the number of fingers.
Close your eye. How many fingers? Come on. Come on. How many fingers? Open your eye. Open your eye. How many do you see? Huh? Okay.
He finally got the right answer.
And right after that, he said, I'm going to give you one more round. Now,
I think he might have said, I'm going to come back and check next round, Dan. I think he's going to check the
well,
vision
not that he's going to stop the round, but he's on a round-to-round basis. He's going to be visited by the doctor every time.
And I think, we said at the top that only the referee can stop the fight, but in this case, if the doctor goes to the referee and says he can't see out of one eye, the referee will definitely stop it. This is a different time, Dan. In the old days, they let fighters fight on. As long as they weren't taking a bad beating because of the inability to see, they would let them fight on. And you remember that scene from Rocky where he turns to Burgess Meredith, he says, cut it, when his eye is swollen. That was based upon Carmen Basilio in a fight in which his eye was completely closed shut. In today's boxing, they will not let a fighter fight on half blind.
As well, they should not. Welcome Ncita still pressing the action, coming in, but the heavier punches from McKinney.
He is just
forcing him out.
He is totally committed to trying to win back his title, and Kennedy McKinney, that hit with the left there, is just as committed to holding him off and to staying world champion. These are two talented, 122-pound fighters. They just fight so big, it's sometimes difficult to remember how small these guys really are.
Well, if you remember anything about their first fight, it would be premature to just assume that this belt is going to remain in the corner of Kennedy McKinney. Wild things could happen, even with the bad eye of Ncita, although he is severely handicapped.
Good right there, score. He's still trying.
Oh, there was another good right hand by Ncita.
And it just missed the sweet spot.
I don't know how much vision, Alex, he can have left at all out of that left eye.
So we're going to stay between rounds and we'll find out if the doctor comes back to check.
Except if the doctor is watching him fight. I'm not sure that he's certainly not anywhere close to being defenseless.
No, not at all.
Back into the corner again goes Ncita, although McKinney doesn't press it. Curiously, Kennedy McKinney does not press it when he had Ncita back in the corner.
He might remember that right hand, too, back from round 5.
Maybe so. Here's the bell for the end of the 9th. Let's follow Welcome Ncita back into his corner.
The doctor has not yet come up. The doctor is not coming up. Let's listen.
Okay? Yeah. Give me the map, please. How you doing? All right. Huh? Ref, he's doing something. Wait till I'm done, then you can look at it. Come on, Ref, wait.
Check in the corner, Kennedy McKinney.
Keep the jab working. It sets up everything.
It looks pretty comfortable and pretty
confident. It's setting up everything.
As well he
In close. Don't stand up straight. Bend down at the waist. Turn the shots underneath and over the top. Put your hands up, okay? Yes, sir. Take some water.
They're putting ice on the eye, doing everything they can to try to stop the swelling.
Don't forget, as I reminded you earlier, on June 4th, Wide World of Sports will have James Toney defending his IBF Super Middleweight title We've had him on our ABC's Wide World of Sports a couple times before, and one of the more notable boxers in the world today. James Toney, be with us, June 4th. Here we are, the start of the 10th. The doctor never stopped by the corner of Welcome Ncita.
I think he might agree with you, Dan, that Welcome fought well enough in that 9th round that he deserved a chance to go on without having the test of how many fingers.
You saw the look into the corner between rounds, and you can see that it's, if there is any vision available at all to Welcome Ncita, it has to be very, very little. The eye is almost totally shut if it is not completely closed.
Kennedy putting the left in there, breaking up any thoughts that Welcome had about coming in. Kennedy, it has to be said, I mean, Kennedy McKinney on the left of your screen, I think is one of the real top boxers in the world. I think he deserves to be in a list of top 10 pound-for-pound fighters. I think he's the best in the 122-pound division. This has not been a dominant performance. He's been knocked down. I think he's winning the fight. Some a lot of close rounds, so I'm not sure whether the officials agree, the judges agree. But I think that's a tribute not to the fact that Kennedy can't fight or isn't as good as we thought about him coming in, but the fact that Welcome Ncita is a very difficult opponent. Well, determined, a lot of guts, a lot of heart, a lot of skill.
We focus on the right hand of McKinney that ended their last fight, but keep in mind that Welcome Ncita was leading on all three judges' scorecards after 10 rounds of boxing. So,
and you can see from Nita's body there, you can see from how there's just not an ounce of fat on him. He's in superb condition. And even with the handicap of only having, complaining there about being held behind the head.
Oh, good, solid, short left hand by McKinney. And Welcome is in a retreat right now.
Yeah, for the first time there, Welcome held on in a way that said, I need some time. I'm in trouble. Kennedy has not followed up effectively.
Oh, wild punches. A right, left, and another right by Ncita.
And Nita's initiating the action. Kennedy's laying back. It may be, Dan, that Kennedy McKinney, having knocked a man out the first time, just felt that I'm going to knock him out the second time, and he's just waited for the knockout instead of working his combinations the way he should have.
That was a good combination of left-right by McKinney.
There's something you like about Kennedy there. He missed 2 punches, but he threw the third and landed with it. He's a terrific combination puncher with both hands. It's just with this kind of difficult, frustrating opponent, with the speed and movement of Welcome Ncita, the challenger facing you there on the left of your screen, he just hasn't been able to do it frequently.
If Welcome can make it, we've got 2 rounds left.
You've seen the courage of heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield.
Holyfield gunning for a summit here.
Now meet his next challenger, Michael Moore.
They say I'm wild.
Going twice with the uppercut and doing it down again.
They say I'm mean and arrogant. I say they're right. Boxing's a tough business.
Holyfield versus Moore from Caesar's Palace, live on pay-per-view. Call now to order.
Doctor still has Welcome Ncita in his corner, has not yet ruled whether or not this fight can continue.
Kennedy McKinney's been put in the neutral corner.
Their time is still out.
Welcome, you cannot sit on the stool.
The doctor said something to Rafael Ramos, and this fight will begin here in the 11th round. The doctor said to Ncita, I know you're fighting a good fight, but you must be able to see out of this eye for this to continue.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Dan, it's terribly unfair. As the doctor's in there trying to check fingers for 50 seconds of the 1-minute timeout, and meanwhile the corner doesn't have a chance to put the end swell on and to work on the eye. In some jurisdictions, when the doctor's in the corner like that, they stop the 1-minute rest period, and then when he finishes, they resume it. They don't do that in Texas. I think it's a good rule.
You hear the crowd chanting the USA chant, Kennedy McKinney in the red.
It's a long time since 1988 in Seoul, Korea, when the U.S. fans over there chanted USA when Kennedy won a gold medal.
Welcome Ncita in the black trunks from East London, South Africa. And he has turned in a courageous fight here this afternoon. Ncita was the title holder, lost it to McKinney in December of 1992. Now attempts to take it back away from the American. I'm Dan Deerdorf along with Alex Wallow, and we're here at South Padre Island, Texas, with our Beck's Boxing today, and we have seen just a magnificent effort by Welcome Ncita through very trying circumstances with a left eye that he cannot see out of. He can guess how many fingers the doctor is holding up. Alex, I don't believe he can see out of there at all.
And I think he was getting some prompting from his owner, by the way.
Much to the chagrin of the doctor.
Right. I think we shouldn't focus so much on Welcome's courage here, Dan, that we forget the fact that Kennedy McKinney is winning the fight, in our opinion, on both of our scorecards, despite the fact that I gave him a 10-8 in the fifth. Maybe it was only a 10-9 round because Kennedy had been winning most of that round before he got knocked down. But Kennedy McKinney...
Oh, and there is Ncita reacting to... I'm not sure what.
Spinning around, and Kennedy was a sportsman there. He could have thrown a shot with his back turn. He did not. He let the referee turn Welcome back. But Kennedy McKinney here is on his way, unless Welcome Ncita is able to pull out the same kind of miracle here that Kennedy pulled out in the first fight. Kennedy McKinney is on his way here to winning this fight, to defending his title, and putting himself in a position to try and unify this 122-pound junior featherweight division.
Well, you've got Wilfredo Vasquez in the WBA, Tracy Patterson in the WBC, and McKinney makes no bones about it. He wants Tracy Patterson. And in fact, he just went and saw Patterson fight last week. A curious development for a man who's getting ready to defend his title against a challenger of the caliber of Ncita. There's a scoring right hand by Ncita. We'll be staying here in between rounds. This ought to be an interesting 60 seconds in Ncita's corner.
Welcome. You're hurting him. You're hurting him. We got to keep going with the right hand. The right hook. We worked on it in the gym. Put your left hand up and throw the right hook. Can you do it? I'm saying. Keep your left hand by your eye and throw the right hook. Come on, Welcome. Look, this is the 12th round, baby. This is the 12th and final round. I gotta have it.
That's wrong when you come out touch gloves.
Jab. But you got the right hand, son. Go ahead and use it sometimes. He can't see when you move. Put it on there. I'm not going to 3 minutes to knock this kid out.
Knock his ass down, you might win the fight.
I gotta have a wide right hand. Come on.
Start throwing that right hand.
A looping right hand. He can't see it.
Alex, if you're like me, you have to be a little curious that the doctor, in between rounds 10 and 11, almost stops the fight, and between 11 and 12 doesn't even pay a visit to Ncita's corner. That's a bit inconsistent for me.
At the end of the day, he did the right thing.
Yes, I agree.
Because this is not a fight that should be stopped.
No, I could not agree with you more, but I just find it a little curious that he's in, he's out.
I'd love to know what these two fighters think they have to do here in the final round. I wonder if Kennedy thinks he's got this fight won and he just has to survive. I wonder if he thinks he has to go out and win the round. I wonder if he thinks he can afford to lose it and just be careful and not take any chances. And Welcome facing you now, and coming around to the right of your screen. You wonder whether he's thinking about, I don't want to get stopped with one of those right hands when I can't see him coming, or I just want to survive, or I want to go out and try to win it. I'm behind, and maybe I have to knock him out to win.
Well, it's certainly been a wonderful look at Kennedy McKinney in total control of himself, with the exception of the flash knockdown, and pretty much control of this fight, and he's it's just hard to describe his effort today. It's been solid, it's been workmanlike.
I think that's a good word, workmanlike. Yeah. It has not been spectacular, especially when he gets knocked down.
Right, it's not been overly aggressive, he's not pressed the action.
It may be that Kennedy remembered more the rounds before that 11th round of their first fight when he was getting outboxed and was hurt a couple of times. He remembered that and just wanted to take no chances and fight pretty much a safety first fight.
A wild left and then a wild right by Ncita, who I don't imagine has any other chance but to try to connect with something lucky here at the end of this fight.
You see there Kennedy McKinney's skill with that right hand, blocking both those hooks. Very subtle moves, but he blocked both of them. He holds that right hand up very well. He does not hold the left up as well.
Both of these men, I'm sorry, Alex, both of these men in extremely good physical condition. Fatigue, stamina, not a factor in this fight whatsoever.
It really is a pleasure and a tribute to both these guys, Dan. Good right.
Oh, there was a left and then a solid right by McKinney that knocks Ncita back into the ropes. 40 seconds left in this fight.
And I think that's the exclamation point that Kennedy McKinney wanted, Dan.
There was another good left hand by McKinney. Welcome Ncita, still bouncing, still has his legs.
First time in the fight that the McKinney power really came to bear.
Inside the final 10 seconds of this fight, and a very appreciative crowd here in South Padre Island, Texas, applauds these two fighters. Remember, there's still a decision to come. We'll return to Texas and find out who the winner is right after this. Texas, let's go up to the ring now, and ring announcer Shelly Mann for the decision.
Judge Laprado scores 117-110 McKinney. Judge Hansen scores 114 Ncita, 114 McKinney. Judge Barry Yates scores it 117-111 for the winner. Out of the red corner and still the IBF Junior Featherweight Champion of the World, Kennedy McKinney.
So it's a majority decision win for Kennedy McKinney, taking his record to 27-0-1, and he's upstairs now with Alex Wallow. Alex?
Kennedy, we have a very brief time. Congratulations to you. Assess your performance.
First of all, I'd like to thank the good Lord above for giving me the strength to win the fight. I did what I wanted to do. That was box. I knew that Welcome was gun shy, and I didn't want to go right out and run.
He didn't fight real gun shy, Kennedy. Came out and knocked you down in the 5th round.
Well, I mean, he caught me with a good shot, but you see, I was in good shape. I got right up and I recovered. I came right back. I didn't stand back. I didn't take any steps back, even though he knocked me down, because I knew one shot just don't win a fight.
Quickly, Kennedy, where do you go from here?
I want Tracy Harris Patterson unify the title. Let's see who's the best out here. I mean, in this game, you want to be the best. I want to be the best. And Patterson, you're standing in my way, so let's get it on.
Thank you, Kennedy. Let's go back to Dan Dierdorf at ringside.
Okay, thank you, Alex, and congratulations to Kennedy. A reminder that on June 4th, we've got James Toney defending his IBF super middleweight title. Thanks for being with us, everybody. For Alex Wallow, I'm Dan Dierdorf. Let's go back to New York now and John Saunders.
All right, Dan, thanks a lot. And we are just about done on this edition of Wide World of Sports. Before we leave you, let's update a couple of races that took place.